Peace be upon you, and welcome to a new episode. Today, we have a story that you won't believe actually happened. A story that shook the village of El-Setamouny in Dakalia, Egypt in 2025. A story that will have you sitting on the edge of your seat from the very first second. Imagine this. A woman married for 18 years, living an ordinary life with her husband and children. Then suddenly, her heart beats for a young man the same age as her daughter. But that's not all. This forbidden love turns into a nightmare when this woman, together with her lover, decides to get rid of her husband in a horrific way. An axe striking the head, a crushed skull, stab wounds that leave blood soaking the ground. Who is this woman? What could make someone throw away 18 years of marriage to live in sin? And what happened when the truth came out? Before we start our story, don't forget to like and share the episode so it can reach as many people as possible, because this story will stay with you for days. And without diving into too many details, let's plunge into the depths of our story. In the village of El-Setamouny, in Dakalia Governorate, there was an ordinary house, just like any other house in rural Egypt. A two-story home. The ground floor was a courtyard full of cows and buffaloes, used for raising livestock, and the second floor housed a family consisting of Fatma, a woman in her mid-30s, 35 years old, and her husband Syed, a simple farmer, along with their children. The eldest being a daughter named Asma, who was 17 years old, along with her younger siblings, a boy and a girl. Fatma and Syed had been married since 2007. That's 18 years of marriage, during which they lived a relatively quiet life, like most families in the village. They faced normal problems like any married couple. Arguments over household expenses or small disagreements that ended quickly. But there was never anything to suggest that a disaster like this could happen. Syed was a hard-working man. He would wake up every day before dawn, put on his galabeya, have his cup of tea, and head out to the fields. He was a farmer who grew wheat and rice and took care of the animals in the courtyard. He was a calm man, but his eyes showed a look of resilience, like someone who knows he carries the responsibility of a family. His only concern was that his kids would grow up and get an education, especially Asma, his eldest daughter, whom he dreamed of marrying off to a respectable man and seeing her build her own home. Syed didn't like problems and always tried to keep peace in the house. He trusted Fatma, but like any husband, he sometimes felt that something wasn't quite right, especially when she started to grow distant. As for Fatma, people saw her as the ideal woman. She would wake up early, make breakfast for the kids, clean the house, go to the market to buy vegetables and meat, then come back and cook. She took care of everything, from doing laundry to keeping track of Asma's schoolwork and that of her siblings. But deep down inside, Fatma felt like something was missing in her life. After 18 years of marriage, the routine was killing her. Every day was the same. Wake up, cook, clean, raise the kids, go to sleep. She didn't feel like she was living for herself. She felt like just another cog in the household machine. Maybe she wanted to feel desired again, to feel like she was still special, not just the kids' mom. Asma, their eldest daughter, was a quiet girl studying commerce at university. She dreamed like any girl her age. She loved talking to her mother, Fatma, telling her about her dreams and the kind of man she hoped to marry one day. Asma trusted her mother deeply. She saw her as more than just a mom, but as a friend. But Fatma, even though she appeared to be listening and interested in her daughter's words, was actually thinking about something entirely different. Inside, she longed to live a different life, a life full of adventure and passion, something far from the routine she was trapped in. One summer day in 2024, around mid-August, Fatma caught a glimpse of a young man in the village named Mohammed. Mohammed was 19 years old, about the same age as Asma. He was tall, handsome, and had a sparkle in his eyes, but his reputation in the village was far from good. People used to say he was a ladies' man, a reckless guy who liked to go out, have fun, and flirt with girls. He didn't set any boundaries for himself. He was known for getting close to anyone, whether a young girl or even an older woman. Muhammad lived a life without restrictions, just enjoying the moment without thinking about what's next. His family were regular people in the village, but they couldn't control him, and they were always complaining about his recklessness. Fatma, despite being much older than Muhammad, found herself drawn to him. Maybe because he was so different from Syed, who was always busy with work and the farm. Maybe because Muhammad was full of energy, bold, charming, and knew how to talk and make people laugh. Fatma felt like, whenever she saw him, her heart would beat like it used to long ago. At first, she would only glance at him from afar. When she saw him at the market buying something, or when he passed by the house laughing with his friends. But over time, she started feeling the urge to talk to him, to get to know who this Muhammad was that everyone kept talking about. One day in late August 2024, Fatma found her chance at the market. Muhammad was alone, buying some things from a nearby grocery store. She went up to him, greeted him, and asked how he was doing. And somehow she suggested they exchange phone numbers. She told him, "If you ever need anything, I'm here. We're neighbors in the village." Muhammad, his eyes lighting up at the idea, immediately agreed and gave her his WhatsApp number. That same day they started talking. At first, the conversation was innocent. "How are you, Muhammad?" "How are you doing, Fatma?" But very quickly, the conversation took a different turn. In early September 2024, just a few days after their phone conversations began, Fatma and Muhammad started talking in a more daring way. Fatma knew exactly what she wanted, and Muhammad made it clear he was ready to give her what she was looking for. Their conversations turned into late-night messages and calls once Syed and the kids were asleep. Fatma would wait until the house was quiet, lock her room door, and open WhatsApp. She felt like she was a young girl again, like she was back in her 20s before she got married. Muhammad was enjoying the game, especially because Fatma was a married woman. That made it an exciting new challenge for him. He showered her with sweet words that made her feel desirable again, like she still had something special. A few weeks later, in mid-September 2024, Muhammad told Fatma, "Fatma, talking on the phone isn't enough. We have to meet." At first, Fatma was scared. She told him, "Muhammad, if someone sees us, it'll be a scandal. I'm a married woman and I have kids." But Muhammad insisted, telling her, "Don't worry, we'll plan it carefully. No one will find out." He suggested they meet in the livestock courtyard beneath the house. It was the perfect place for secrecy, since it had a back door far from the neighbors' eyes, and no one entered it at night. After some thought, Fatma agreed. She was scared, but at the same time, she wanted to live that moment. One night in late September 2024, when Syed and the kids were asleep on the second floor, Fatma went down to the courtyard. She was nervous, her heart beating fast, but she felt like she had to do it. Muhammad entered through the back door, and in the darkness of the courtyard, amid the sounds of the animals, their relationship began to shift from words to action. Fatma felt like she was in another world, far from responsibilities, from Syed, from the kids. Muhammad enjoyed the secrecy and the feeling that he had managed to capture a woman like Fatma. That meeting was their first, but it wasn't their last. The meetings continued like this for months, from September 2024 until November 2024. They always met at night when the whole village was asleep. Fatma was very careful to make sure no one saw Mohammed coming in or going out. She would open the back door herself and make sure the neighbors were asleep. But in November 2024, Mohammed started to get bored. He told Fatma, "Fatma, this courtyard isn't a clean or suitable place. I'm not comfortable. It smells bad. And it's cramped." Fatma admitted she wasn't comfortable either. The courtyard was an unpleasant place, and she felt like she couldn't truly enjoy herself there. So they decided to change their plan. In December 2024, Fatma and Mohammed agreed that the meetings would take place inside the apartment on the second floor. The plan was that Mohammed would come before dawn, wait for her in the courtyard until Syed went out to work in the fields, and Asma and her siblings left for school. After that, Fatma would bring him into the apartment, the place that was supposed to be the family home, the home of Syed, Asma, and the kids. Fatma felt like she was living a secret life, like in a movie. Mohammed enjoyed the daring and the feeling that he was doing something forbidden in another man's house. The affair continued like this for months, about a full year. During this time, Fatma began to noticeably distance herself from Syed. Whenever he tried to get close to her like any husband would, she would say, "I don't want to. I'm tired." Syed, a calm man but not naive, began to sense that something was wrong. He would ask her, "What's wrong, Fatma? Why are you so distant from me? What's going on?" Fatma would try to avoid the questions, telling him she wasn't in the mood or that she was busy with the kids. But Syed didn't believe her. He started to notice that she was locking her door at night and getting tense when he asked about her phone. In January 2025, Syed started to watch her closely. He would look at her phone when she was asleep, trying to find out who she was talking to. He noticed that she was constantly deleting messages and that she became tense whenever he caught her with her phone. Fatma felt she was in danger and that Syed might discover her relationship with Mohammed. She was afraid that if he found out, he would divorce her and she would lose the house, the kids, and the money in Syed's bank account. Then a devilish idea came to her. One day in early February 2025, she called Mohammed and said, "Mohammed, if we want to continue together, we have to make our relationship legal. You need to enter the house without anyone suspecting us." She suggested that he propose to Asma, her daughter who was 17 years old, about the same age as him. Mohammed, without hesitation, agreed. He didn't want Asma, but he wanted to ensure he stayed close to Fatma. In mid-February 2025, Fatma went to Syed and told him, "Syed, a neighbor found a fiancé for Asma. His name is Mohammed, a young man from the village, good, and will be a suitable husband." Syed, who knew Mohammed's bad reputation, immediately rejected the idea. He said, "What are you saying? Mohammed is a reckless guy, a womanizer, and his reputation is terrible. Besides, Asma is still too young to marry." Fatma tried to convince him, saying, "He's a good guy, and he will change when he gets married. Besides, Asma has grown up. We need to think about her future." But Syed was determined to refuse. He said, "There's no way I'll accept someone like that for my daughter." The disputes between Fatma and Syed increased because of this issue. Fatma insisted that Mohammed be the fiancé, while Syed was adamant in his refusal. At the end of February 2025, Fatma got upset and went to her parents' house to put pressure on Syed. She told him, "If you don't want me, I will leave." At that time, Syed began connecting the dots. Her distancing in their marital relationship and her insistence on Mohammed especially made him suspicious that something unnatural was going on. He started thinking about divorce and told the family that he didn't want Fatma to come back home. The family intervened and tried to reconcile them, but Sayed was hesitant. He felt that Fatma was hiding something, but he didn't know exactly what. At the beginning of March 2025, around March 5th, Sayed had a minor accident while working in the field. He injured his leg and had to stay in bed for a few days. Fatma, when she found out, decided to take advantage of the opportunity. On March 10th, 2025, she returned home and told Sayed, "I'm here to take care of you, Sayed, and take care of the kids. I'm a proper woman. I won't leave you at a time like this." Sayed, despite his suspicion of her, agreed to let her come back, but on one condition. Each of them would sleep in a separate room, and he took her phone because he didn't trust her. He also said he wouldn't eat or drink from her hands because he was afraid of her. Asma and her siblings were happy their mother returned, and Asma especially tried to convince her father to forget about the idea of divorce. She told him, "Dad, what people say will hurt me and my siblings. Let Mom come back. We want the house to stay as it is." Fatma agreed to Sayed's conditions because she knew that just being in the house would give her a chance to carry out her plan. On the same day, March 10th, 2025, she went down and met Mohammed in a place far from the neighbor's eyes, in a small alley next to the market. She told him everything, that Sayed was suspicious of her and that she had to act quickly. She told him, "Mohammed, we need to get a new phone so we can talk because Sayed took my phone." Mohammed, who was ready for anything, brought her a phone with a SIM card the next day, March 11th, 2025. During this call, Fatma told him, "We have to get rid of Sayed. If he stays alive, he will find out everything, divorce me, and we'll lose everything." Mohammed, without hesitation, said, "Okay, I'm with you. Just tell me what we're going to do." Fatma knew she couldn't just silence or sedate him because Sayed wouldn't eat from her hand, so they decided to make another plan. On March 12th, 2025, Fatma told Sayed that she wanted a big axe because the one she had was lost. Sayed, without suspecting anything, went to the market and bought her a sharp axe and gave it to her. Fatma hid the axe in the animal yard to use it on the right day. During these days, Fatma was playing the role of the perfect wife in front of Sayed and the kids. She was cooking, cleaning the house, and showing that she cared about Sayed while he was sick. But at night, she would talk to Mohammed on the new phone, planning the crime. On March 15th, 2025, Fatma and Mohammed agreed on the final details. Fatma told him, "We will do it on March 17th at 6 in the morning. I will leave the animal yard gate open and you enter and hide among the animals. I will make Sayed come down to the yard and we will finish him." Mohammed was excited and said, "Okay, I'm ready, but we have to be careful so the neighbors don't notice." Fatma reassured him and said, "Don't worry, I'll make sure everything goes right." On the day of the crime, March 17th, 2025, at 6 in the morning, Fatma left the animal yard gate open from the inside. Mohammed entered quickly and hid among the animals. Fatma called him and said, "Come on, get ready. I'll make Sayed come down now." She banged on the cows and buffaloes to make noise, then entered Sayed's room. She shouted loudly, "Get up, Sayed! There are thieves in the yard stealing the animals." Sayed, who didn't trust her, said, "What are you saying? Thieves? How?" But when he heard the animal's noise himself, he looked out the window and saw the head of a buffalo sticking out of the yard gate, so he thought there really were thieves. Sayed got up quickly, put on his galabeya, turned on the flashlight on his phone, and went down to the yard. The yard was dark, and as soon as he opened the gate, Mohammed was waiting for him. He attacked him, grabbed him, and tried to hit him. Sayed, at one moment, turned to Fatma, who had come down behind him and said, "Bring me something to defend myself with." Fatma, instead of helping him, grabbed a big stone block and hit him on the head with all her strength. Syed fell to the ground, and Muhammad continued hitting him with the axe and the knife. The axe strikes hit his head and body, and the knife stabs pierced his chest. Syed, while dying, was begging and saying to Fatma, "Save me, Fatma." But Fatma coldly replied, "I want to get rid of you." At that moment, the time was about 6:15 in the morning. Syed's mother, who lived next to the house, was leaving her home to go to the market. She heard her son's voice calling for help, so she ran and knocked on the gate. Fatma, when she heard the knocking, quickly went upstairs to the apartment, changed her galabeya that was stained with blood, and Muhammad escaped through the back door. When no one answered Syed's mother, she went and called Syed's brother, named Mahmud, who was heading to his land. Mahmud came quickly and knocked hard on the gate. After a while, Fatma came down with Asma and her siblings, opened the gate, and asked them, "Why are you knocking?" "I was just asleep." Mahmud and Syed's mother went inside and found the yard open and Syed lying in a pool of blood. His mother screamed, and Mahmud called the neighbors. They tried to get him to the hospital quickly, but the examination confirmed that Syed had died. The hospital administration notified the police the same day, March 17, 2025, and investigations began. The security officers searched the house and found Fatma's galabeya covered in blood inside the apartment. They also found the axe and knife in the yard, bearing Muhammad's fingerprints. When they confronted Fatma with the evidence, she immediately broke down without denial and confessed everything. How her relationship with Muhammad started in 2024, how they planned the crime over months, and how they executed it on March 17, 2025. She gave them information about Muhammad, and the police arrested him on the same day. The entire village was in shock. People couldn't believe that Fatma, the woman who seemed ordinary, could commit such a crime. Asma, who loved her father very much, was devastated. She couldn't believe that her mother, whom she trusted, would betray her father and kill him. She cried every day, asking herself, "How could my mother do this?" Syed's family, especially his mother and brother Mahmud, were full of grief and anger. Syed's mother told the neighbors, "I heard my son calling for help, but I couldn't save him in time." Mahmud was trying to calm people down, but inside he was broken. The investigations continued for weeks. The security officers questioned neighbors and heard many testimonies. Some neighbors said they had seen Muhammad enter the yard many times at night over the past months, but didn't suspect anything because Fatma used to say he was coming to help with the animal grazing. But when the police searched the house, they found conclusive evidence: the bloodied galabeya, the axe, the knife, and also the new phone that Fatma was using to contact Muhammad. Forensic analysis confirmed that Muhammad's fingerprints were on the axe and knife, and that the blood on Fatma's galabeya was Syed's blood. On April 18, 2025, the Mansoura Criminal Court referred the case papers of Fatma and Muhammad to the Mufti, which is a step meaning the verdict would be severe, the death penalty by hanging. During the court sessions, which lasted about a month, Fatma tried to defend herself. She said she loved Muhammad and that Syed treated her badly and that she was forced to do what she did to protect herself. But the evidence was against her. Asma, who attended the sessions, testified that her father was a good man and didn't hurt her mother. She said, "Dad loved us and treated Mom well. I don't know how she could do this." Asma's testimony was strong and made Fatma's statements weak. Muhammad, for his part, tried to blame Fatma. He said she was the one who planned everything and that he was just following her orders. But his fingerprints on the axe and knife and his confession during investigations confirmed that he was a main partner in the crime. The court heard testimonies from neighbors and Syed's mother, who said she heard her son calling for help, and from Mahmoud, who confirmed that Syed was suspicious of Fatma before the incident. The evidence was overwhelming. There was no room for doubt. On April 28, 2025, the Mansoura Criminal Court issued its verdict: death penalty for Fatma and Mohammed. The judge said the crime was horrible and that Fatma, who was supposed to protect her home, betrayed her husband and killed him with the help of her lover. The verdict shocked the village, but many people felt that justice had been served. Asma, who attended the final session, cried when she heard the verdict, not for her mother, but for her father whom she lost, and for her shattered life. Syed's family, especially his mother and brother Mahmoud, felt that the verdict delivered justice for Syed, but they were devastated by what happened. The whole village kept talking about the story for months. People were divided between those who cursed Fatma, calling her a traitor, and those trying to understand what could make a woman do that after 18 years of marriage. Some women in the village said Fatma still saw herself as young and that Muhammad took advantage of her. Others said Muhammad was the one who trapped her because he was reckless and had no conscience. But everyone agreed that Syed was the victim, an innocent man who paid the price for trusting his wife. Asma, after the verdict, decided to leave the village and go live with her aunt in another city. She felt she couldn't face what people were saying, nor could she bear to see the house where her father died. Her younger siblings went to live with Syed's mother, who was trying to raise them like her own children. Mahmoud, Syed's brother, took on the responsibility of the land and the family, but he always said, "If I had listened to Syed when he told me he was suspicious of Fatma, I might have been able to save him." This story, everyone, isn't just a crime story. It's a story about betrayal, about a woman who forgot 18 years of companionship and marriage and sold her husband and children for a forbidden relationship. Fatma put her daughter Asma on the line and tried to marry her off to her lover, Muhammad, but in the end she lost everything: Syed, her home, her children, and her life. What could make someone reach this point? Was life with Syed so difficult that it pushed her to commit the crime? Or was it recklessness and the desire for the forbidden that blinded her? And what do you think? If you were in Asma's place, what would you do if you found out your mother was the one who killed your father? Write to me in the comments, and that's the end of today's episode. If this is your first time watching the channel, don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell so you get all the new content. See you in a new episode. Goodbye.